So everybody, please click that OK button to accept the recording. And Ben Habakook, is the SCM Globe customer service manager that I work with on a day-to-day basis, or week to week, or maybe occasionally, maybe not even week to week. And I'm Frank Scheer. I'm your instructor for ACM 640, section 9040 this term. And before I start out, let me talk to you a little bit about why we are using this simulation. The entire purpose, and by the way, thank you, Jeffrey. You all, one of the guidelines for this class is really it's a question and answer session. So if Ben or I say something, you have a question that you want to ask, just go ahead and blurt it out. No offense taken. That's one of the difficult things about a video conference is sometimes it's awful hard to break into a conversation politely, but you're welcome to interrupt and ask a question if you have it. If I think it's something we're going to cover in about 5 more minutes, I'll mention that and then we'll continue. Otherwise, we'll address your question or answer because that is the entire purpose of this webinar. It's not to give you the answer for the simulation. It's not just to tell you anything other than if you read the online user manual, that just about everything we'll talk about tonight will be in there. But I'm sure all of you in your careers have heard such things as a hidden agenda. And my class is no different than that. I've got a hidden agenda for the Cincinnati Seasonings simulation. The obvious reason is because you are going to practice some of the basic principles of trying to manage inventory, transportation, manufacturing, so that you have got a fairly smooth flow and the most economically possible flow from the manufacturing location to the retail location, and therefore to the ultimate consumer. The other reason is that during the course of your career, there is going to be new software and new systems that are going to be implemented. Sometimes you will receive training for that. For example, when Lotus 123 was new about 30 years ago, and personal computers were something that were more of an oddity than they were a standard office fixture. I actually had an authorized trip to go to New York City and learn the basics of Lotus 123. Believe me, those days are gone. Most employers will not send you away to learn the basics of whatever the system is. They may do some in-house training. More often than not, they'll say, okay, here's the user manual. You figure it out. And if you have any questions, let us know. And sometimes they're responsive, sometimes they aren't. It really turns out in most cases that it's more of a collaborative effort among all the team or employees working within a group to work that new system, learn the basics of it, and to help each other. And that is really the underlying principle that I'm trying to teach in this class is not so much just the supply chain aspect, but how do you work with somebody else to use a system that you've never seen before. It's extremely simplified so that you see the basic features of what a supply chain are. You're only dealing with one product. You're only dealing with one manufacturing location, one distribution center, and 3 retail stores initially for project one. But at the same time, you can expand that so that you suddenly become Walmart with 1,000 retail locations, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of stock keeping units, transportation that is contracted for, as well as maybe their own private carriage, using all sorts of services, box trucks and tractor trailers and so on. So it's really so that you understand how to use a software that you've never encountered before and working that within a team. I want to be very clear. I've mentioned this in the group questions and answers. The three people who are presently assigned to a team, they are to work on this simulation individually with the expectation that they'll work on it and then compare notes among the team. One person, or maybe two, but probably one person is going to get a better solution than the others. There's almost an infinite number of ways in which you can solve the project one, two, and three solutions for Cincinnati Seasonings. Nobody is ever going to do it exactly the same. And I want to remind you too that it is not considered to be failure or a downgrade for your score if you show a negative net income. So one of the things that we're going to demonstrate tonight is just so that you understand how to import your data from a simulation into a spreadsheet template for profit and loss, because that is something I'm looking for, and that is something that your management would be expecting in your project reports. It's not just getting it to run a certain number of days. It is to show the results in terms of what your net income is. And I can tell you that chances are it's going to be a big loss when you do project one. Project two, where you add two new stores, it'll be a little better because actually by adding stores and increasing demand, as it is for any company, growth is usually the solution for getting a better means of profitability because you're spreading the overhead cost over more units and more locations. So that's a positive. Project three, you'll go back in with the 5 stores and you will then try to refine it to make any further improvements that you can in terms of the transportation service, how you're setting up routes, and maybe even consolidating the manufacturing facility with the distribution center. There's lots of different things that you can do to further trim costs. In project three, it's possible to not just break even, but actually show a profit. But again, in project three, if you still show a loss, it ought to be significantly less than projects one and two. And that to me shows growth and learning as you use the system. So that's my introductory narrative. What we do want to proceed with is this is supposed to be a question and answer session for anyone who may have missed that when you were logging in and I had already mentioned it. Ben and I are here to answer your questions. We will demonstrate a few things, but if you have questions, either in terms of logging in, how you start the simulation, which in theory you've been able to do, and now that we're getting into the second week, you ought to be working with your team to try to come up with a project. One report that also talks about barriers and aids analysis and such, or strengths, opportunities, and weaknesses, in addition to the simulation results. Please speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay.
I would definitely. So my bachelor's was in global supply chain management, and I work in supply chain management. I would definitely like to see how you guys are pulling the net income because I didn't see that in my report, and I wasn't looking for that. However, if I had been, that would have been one of my target factors in my original data manipulation.
Okay, well, with that, Ben, we can let me just ask this before we do address that topic. Has everybody, if I don't hear a response, I'm going to assume that, and of course, you know what assume means, but I'm going to assume that everybody's at least been able to run it and been able to try to reach 30 simulation days of, of activity. And usually that's done by just throwing money at the problem of increasing space or increasing the number of trips of transportation or whatever you need to do just to get it to run for 30 days. That whole purpose of that is to let you familiarize yourself with the model. And as I mentioned in one of the postings, it's about 5 times that the system will stop before you get to having made changes one after another. Each time it stops for different aspects of the model. And by the time you get through the fifth one and make some changes, then you should reach that 30th day goal. The important thing is, and I'm going to turn it back over to Ben, what we'll do is we'll look in the online user guide. He'll show you where the template for the 3 stores is, and then show you how to export the data as a comma save value CSV file, and then how you import that into an Excel spreadsheet template, and then reformat it. And again, what you want to do is trim your data to only 30 days. There's no extra points awarded if you suddenly reach 36 days or 38 days. The objective is not trying to see who can run it the most days. If you reach 30 days, stop, be time efficient. Don't waste your time doing any more. You've got what the data you need to go ahead and go into the step that of importing the data into a template and then seeing what the profit and loss is. Ben, it's your turn now.
All right. Second, should be able to see my screen.
We see it.
Okay, you can?
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah. So, like Frank said, my name is Ben. I work with SCM Globe. I'll just go over a couple of things and answer any questions that you guys have. Um, as you probably already know, to start working with SCM Globe and with the specific model that you're working with, you'll have to click on View Library and import um the Cincinnati Seasonings case study. Then you can just click on Edit and start working. And this is the edit screen, this is where you do your work. I'm not gonna go through the entire demo, but this is what it would look like. When you click on the simulation button, it'll open the second tab. And yes, you're working with these 2 tabs and you're going back and forth between them. So this would be your simulation tab. And you can just run the simulation here. And you can see on the side, we can see our graph that says our days. So when Frank was mentioning 30 days, if you look at the x-axis, when that reaches 30, you've completed your first assignment. So you do that by fixing the errors. Now we got a question about the reporting. So once you reach 30 days, you can actually download your data. And I already have a model here that I've reached 30 days with. So let's just run it. You can see what it looks like. And I'll show you how to download the data and how to create your P&L report. So we're just going to let it run to 30 days. And if it keeps running after 30 days, you can just hit the stop button. You don't have to let it run for 40 or 50 days. 30 is enough. Once it says 30, you're good to go. There you go. We're at 30 days, all right? And now we can download our data. So you're not gonna have this generate P&L report button here. You're only gonna have the export result to Excel button. So you can click on it and it'll immediately download an Excel sheet that looks like this. All right, so you can see my data. We have all of our days up to day 30. And we'll go back to that in a second. But this is not your report. This is just your data. This is what we feed the report in order to generate your numbers. To create the actual report, you can click on the help button up here. It'll open the guide, the online guide, and look on the right side for analyzing simulation data. It's right here. So click on that and just scroll all the way to the bottom until you see, not all the way to the bottom. Look for the reporting templates, okay? And then you can just download the 3-store P&L reporting template. So it'll open a Google Sheet. You do have to download this as either Excel or CSV, whatever you prefer. And this is what the reporting template is going to look like. And notice that you have 2 sheets on it. Right now we're looking at the P&L report, but the second sheet is simulation data. Now you can just click Control A or Command A, I suppose, if you're on Mac. I never had a Mac, so I'm not sure. And just delete everything here. Going back to the simulation data that I downloaded, let's just copy it all and paste it instead. So now we have my data, the data that I created, I posted here, and the P&L report would generate all of the formulas and everything is in there. Now, it really does have to be day 30. If it, for example, for whatever reason, you let's do it like this. You have like day 31 here, because you ran it for just a little bit longer, or even if it's more than day 31, day 32, you're going to have to clean these rows out. It really has to be up to day 30. So you can just click the row and right click it and click on delete, and make sure you do it for each table here. All right, so I downloaded my data, I copied and pasted it and put it on the simulation data sheet on my P&L reporting template. So now let's look at the P&L report and see what I got. All right, our gross profit and our gross profit as a percentage, they're both in here. Net profit is not in there, so this is gross profit, and that's where it ends. We don't have net. It's just a gross operating profit. I'm making a major loss because I'm not very good at supply chain management, and I'm sure all of you are much better than I am. But this is all it is. If you want to improve your results, you can just continuously download the data and replace the data that's already in there. Just Control or Command A it, delete, paste your new data, and look at your new results and see if you've improved or maybe you made it worse. Sometimes that's going to happen as well. So are there any questions about the reporting template? Anything about that?
All right. Well, let me add again, success for project one is that you've reached 30 days. And you will have a negative gross profit percentage. The idea is that among your team, if you've got 3 team members and they're each working on this and they've each imported it into the reporting template, somebody might show a negative 20%, somebody might have a negative 16%, and you would have had the negative 18%. So what I'm suggesting is for the purpose of preparing the Project One report, you use the simulation model results for the minus 16, whichever team member had that, and then build your project report around that. And of course, then you've got to add the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that's what you're going to be reporting to management. All your reports are to management, even though I'm reading them and I'm scoring them. Pretend that I'm management. This is your assignment as a team, is to try to improve corporate performance. So, although Ben has suggested that you could go back and do iterations if you want, you're going to get a chance to do that during Project 3 to try to improve it. In Project 2, it'll be just like this, except you'll have 2 new stores that you have to set up. And then you'll be using the 5-store template from the SCM Globe website. You access that through help. And that the idea is, so you'll have a result from Project One of a certain negative gross profit percentage, and then for Project Two, you'll have what the result is, and presumably the negative gross profit will be a little less, meaning that you've shown some improvement, and that's what we're looking for, is improvement. And then for Project 3, when you're doing this, you'll continue to use the 5-store template, making further revisions now that you've become familiar with the system, and you fine tune the transportation links and the vehicle services, and maybe the warehousing and storage space at facilities. So that, again, that is when you might see a positive number there. And again, my interest is seeing that a team is improving from Project 1 to Project 2, then Project 2 to Project 3. And so I'm not comparing one team versus another. Oh, Team 7 came up with the best solution, so they get an A, and then Project Team 10 really blew it, so they're going to flunk. That isn't what's going to happen. That's not what this course is about. It's all about learning, and learning is through determining how you show improvement with your operational results. And the other thing is, the reason why it's so necessary to have this gross profit percentage is because that's exactly what management is looking for. You can tell them all day and part of the night about how wonderful the system's running and you've been able to make some improvement, but until they see that kind of result, they don't know really where the company stands. And that is your purpose as a team. Ben, what I would like you to do is to go back to the simulation screen that you had, the last one where it was running through. Note that you have this upward trending graph. When you look at your simulation, this is a tip. When you look at your retail facilities, your manufacturing, if it's upward running, eventually you may end up running out of space someplace, or there's not going to be enough supply. Oh, and one thing that Ben is demonstrating for you is you put your cursor there, you could see a particular day and it's telling you what the result is. But generally what you want to have is a zero slope, or something close to a zero slope. You want something that's relatively level. The more level that you can make your inventory, um, at a retail location, the more likely you're getting towards a best possible solution. In this model, there's no such thing as optimal. And in fact, in supply chain management generally, there's no such thing as optimal. One of the reasons why we're doing 30 days is because that's the time horizon most companies do to periodically update and revise their logistics system. You don't just set it up once and then let it run for a year or 2 years or 5 years. It requires constant maintenance and management because, for several reasons, you have periodic swings. You get to this peak season of the holidays in November, December. Typically, there's more sales. You might find the sales dropping off during the summer months, depending upon what your product is. Um, you may even see a situation coming up where there's a general recession, and so people are spending less, and so now you suddenly got downward slopes because you're filling up facilities, um, or you're not selling the product that you had forecasted you would sell. So again, to the extent that on a 30-day time horizon, you could make that line slope as level as you can, you're going to be getting probably the best possible results. And that's a tip really for project 3. It'll help you out a little bit in project 1 and 2, but remember that when you get to project 3, because that is really the way you reach a better solution. Does anybody else have any other questions? We've only gone for about a half an hour. I'm not too sad about giving you the rest of the time back for you to do other things because we're all busy. But I do want to make sure that we answer any questions that you have and be as time efficient as we possibly can.
I do have one more question. Where will the link be to this so that I can rewatch it? Because obviously, the more I watch and re-listen, the more I will learn.
All right. Well, I'll give you 2 tips. First of all, Ben will send me the link, and so I'll post that into the um, course questions and answers when I get it. Probably a few days, maybe not that long. I'm not sure. But here's a tip. This is not the first time for Ben and me around the block. We've done this session for other classes in previous UMGC terms. Some of those recordings that are very similar to this are not identical because every word, this is not scripted. We answer the questions that people who are attending are asking. Some of those videos are on YouTube. If you go to the online user guide under help, and maybe Ben, you can show them where some of these links are. We did take one of the sessions that was particularly good and then carved out into 3 or 4 minute chunks a video covering a specific topic, such as how do you add vehicles, how do you increase facility size, and such and so. So just bear with us while Ben gets there, and he can show you where those are. And these are all available for you. Step 4.
I don't know if you can hear it, but we don't need to put the whole 6-minute video on right now. I'll just show you again how I reached here. I just clicked on help, and it takes you straight to the online guide. And in here, you're going to see pretty much everything, but most of the videos are going to be in the getting started part. This just gets you through everything. Step 4 is specifically running the simulations and the simulation tutorial.
Okay. Um, one other thing, scroll back up, please. A little further up. Well, maybe I lost my thought. That's trouble with being 75 years old, as things flip into my mind and slip out. But where's the frequently asked questions and the known bugs?
Oh, you're going to find them on the right side in here.
Oh, okay, right there.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no software anywhere that ever runs completely smoothly, and Cincinnati Seasonings and SCM Globe is uh, extremely well designed and functions very well for the teaching applications. But there are some situations such as, is your browser compatible with SCM Globe and so on like that. If you run into a problem, check the known bugs. It will give you guidance on how to try to resolve perhaps what the problem is that you've encountered so that you don't have to waste time waiting for me to reply and try to help you by saying, go back to the online user guide and look at known bugs. So if you review those first, you will almost always find any situation. Also, too, my other advice is if you run into a problem with it, um, you should be periodically saving your work. Give the file a new name and to create a save state, because when you're doing the simulation, you're doing editing and then running it and then doing editing and then running, you're going back and forth between those two buttons. It's not going to be backward compatible. You may get to a fork in the road where you decide, okay, well, I'm going to realign my transportation network. I'm going to eliminate a route. I'm going to add two new ones. I'm going to put in new trucks. And so suddenly you get down the path and you find out, man, that was the biggest mistake I ever made, was to try to do that. It just made things worse, not better. Unfortunately, there's a point of no return unless you periodically, if you get to a point where you think you're really going to try something new, create a save state, give it a name, and preferably date and time, just so that you know exactly what it is. It'll go back into your directory of Cincinnati Seasonings assignments or simulations that you've run. Then go down that path. And if it doesn't work out, well, then what you do is you just close it out and you go back to your save states and click on that, and it'll take you back to where it was before you made all those changes. The other thing that we should mention is that as a team, you may on occasion decide that you want to share your simulation with your teammates so they can see exactly what you did. And so you can create a JSON file, and Ben, I'm going to ask you to just show how you do that too, and how you save it, and then you'll go back in, and after you've imported it, you'll do it again. But anyway, so you create this file that you can export and attach to an email, and then you can send it to somebody, and they can download it to their software. Now, unlike a lot of attachments where you double click on them, and like a JPEG file or a Word document or something, it'll open right up because you've got that application on your computer that's compatible with opening that file. That doesn't work with SCM Globe. You'll get this file that has .json. You have to save it to your computer. Then you have to take it and put it back. You have to upload it to SCM Globe, your own copy of SCM Globe that you're running, and then open it from there, and it'll work smooth as silk. So Ben, let me just let you walk through that process, please.
Yeah. So to make a save state, just click on save, rename it. You can call it anything you want. Maybe we can say Cincy 435 for the time that it is we're at. Click save, and it'll be at the bottom table under save states. You can find it here. If you want to download this, you can just click on download save state and it'll download as a JSON file. It's a very, very small file. So we got our Cincy 435 JSON, and then we can also upload it back up. So let's say your teammate sent you one, or you want to send it to your teammates, or you happen to save a save state on your computer. You can just drag it up here. And you'll see it again at the top of my list. And then you can click on restore. And look at that. It's at the top of my list of my active simulations. And we can just work on it regularly. It's just exactly where we were. It's a safe state. Whether it's ours or someone else's, it doesn't matter. It's going to work.
Okay. Thank you for that demonstration. Does anybody have another question? Any other thoughts? How many people have actually gotten their simulation to run for 30 days? If you want to come off mute and let me know, that'd be nice.
I have.
Okay. So that's Jeremy, Jeffrey, Lakeisha, Lavicia.
Lavasia, I
Yeah.
haven't.
You haven't. Where are you in your simulation, in running your simulation?
Confused and trying to figure it out.
Well, that's why we're here tonight. Well,
I
okay.
have a bigger understanding now by just listening, so I know where to go, and I think I can get some stuff done now.
Okay. All right.
I ran mine, but I think I have like 32 days, so I just have to trim out the rest of the days on there.
That's right. You churn out the day 31 and 32, and then you import it in the spreadsheet into the template for 3 stores, and then you're basically done. You know, it's
Are we submitting those to you? Those with the SWOT analysis, the SOT?
well, the SWOT analysis is a separate thing. That stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You know,
Yes.
you're got to learn about the company. So to the extent that you read about the company, you need to determine what its strengths are. For example, it's got a very good formulation for this chili pepper kind of seasoning.
Yeah, we already
Um,
worked on that part there as far as some of
okay.
the those. I was just wondering about the Excel itself, the document itself, the simulation itself.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what it is. And the other thing I was going to mention, I should have mentioned it with the known bugs. If you do run into a problem and suddenly things are not working and you've checked the known bugs and you don't know why the system is doing what it's doing, the first suggestion is to go ahead and log out and then log back into SCM Globe, and then just start again. If hopefully you've saved your work up to that point. Um, and then and a lot of people get confused about that edit and simulate buttons. You know, you got those two and you're alternating back and forth between those. Sometimes they do the edit and they think, oh, well, now it's not running. I don't know why it's not running. Well, until you press the simulate button, then it's not going to do anything. So Or if you get to the simulate button and you're trying to make some changes, obviously you're not in the edit screen, so you're not going to be able, you're going to be wondering why you can't access, for example, a particular retail store or a particular train station link to make any changes. So those are usually the main stumbling blocks. But if you run into something that you that you didn't see in the online user guide as a remedy for your concern, and if you it's not one of those known bugs, please do send me an email. As this saying goes, I'm from Washington and I'm here to help you. Don't ever believe that if somebody comes knocking on your door, but in this particular case, it's true. And so I will review what your concern is. And if I need to go to SCM Globe, I will contact them and we'll all find out together. Please do not try to contact SCM Globe first. So that's my other little bit of guidance. So anyway, well, I wish you luck, Jeffrey, in trying to get that done. So are there any other questions? All right. Well, hearing none, I don't have any further real information to share with you. I've covered the reason why we're doing this simulation. I think I've covered what my expectations are in the projects. Please do periodically read my course questions and answers, because if somebody asks me a question, I don't keep it hidden from everybody else. I post what the question was and my answer so that everybody knows and everybody has the same equal advantage in terms of learning how to resolve whatever that issue was. I've always found that if one person's encountered a problem, chances are there's at least 5 other that have the same problem, but they just haven't said anything. So please do watch the course questions and answers. And of course, you can post a question. That's the first thing that I look at when I open the classroom and review it. I'm on the classroom usually every other day. Some days I'm there every night, especially about the time that I'm grading the project assignments. And other times I'll go there every other day and just check to see who's posted what and answer any questions. But if something really urgent shows up, my email address is on the website or on the SCM Globe, not SCM Globe, the course syllabus. It's f_Scheer@yahoo.com. Make sure that you put the C in my last name, because if you send it to f_SHEER, it isn't going to get to me. It's got to have the C in there. So with that, this is almost like an auction. Anybody else got any other questions or want something demonstrated? Going once. Going twice. I'll look forward to seeing you in the discussions in your projects. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. You're free to go.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Mm.